Within the Zephyrus lineup of laptops, this is the highest end available right now. This is the Zephyrus Duo, and it has this unique ScreenPad Plus which is found here. This is the secondary display, which is just a strip there, and it is considered the next generation of this kind of design when compared to last year's ZenBook Duo lineup of laptops. So today, we're going to take a look at how is the gaming performance and experience with the ScreenPad Plus on this laptop. And if you want to learn more only about content creation, you can check out our second video about this laptop at the top right corner there. Let's start off with the specs, which you can see here. So it comes with a Core i9-10980HK, which is the highest end chip available for a laptop. RTX 2080 Super Max Q, 32 gigs of RAM, 3200 MHz, which is exceptionally good for this kind of laptop design once again. And it also comes with double 1TB NVMe SSD in RAID 0. Both of them are using Samsung's NVMe SSD, by the way. And the screen, it is a 15.6-inch screen, and it comes in two different variants. So the first one that we have here is 4K 60fps with 100% Adobe RGB color gamut coverage, and it also is Pantone validated alongside with G-Sync support. There's also another more gaming-centric variant of this screen, which is also the same size, 15.6-inch, but 1080p in resolution with 300Hz refresh rate and also 3 milliseconds response time. But that screen is only 100% sRGB color gamut coverage. So if you want more accurate colors, you should get the 4K 60Hz that we have here. Both of those displays are also G-Sync compatible. So if you want to use G-Sync, ASUS developed this kind of proprietary button that you can press in the Armoury Crate to switch between Optimus mode and also discrete GPU mode, which means you can use G-Sync. And that is to prolong your battery life, but for streamers and gamers, I would suggest you to lock it into G-Sync mode because OBS doesn't work if you're using it in Optimus mode. This is something very common. It's a common issue if you're coming in from a laptop with a discrete GPU, NVIDIA GPU, and using it in Optimus. If you open OBS, it will show you a black screen. So to solve this issue, you have to jump through a few hoops, but for this laptop, just enable G-Sync and then that's solved. So now let's start off with some synthetic benchmarks. This laptop is obviously going to tear through all of those benchmark scores. So as you can see here, this laptop is packed with a lot of high-end components, and it does kick off quite a lot of heat actually. So ASUS, for this year, all of its Intel-based Zephyrus gaming laptops are using Thermal Grizzly's conductor knot thermal paste. So which means that it's going to give you a lot better in terms of thermal conductivity, which means all of the cooling system is supposed to work a lot better. That's it. So when we tested this out, the temperatures will still go up to about 95 degrees for the CPU, and the GPU is at about 80 something degrees, which is actually quite good. Overall gaming experience, well, as you expect, this laptop can obviously play all of the games, but obviously that is not the main highlight of this laptop. So this ScreenPad Plus is what I'm interested in because, as you know, the ZenBook Duo does have this kind of design, but in terms of compatibility, I would say that that laptop was still kind of first gen. But for this generation, ASUS partnered with, I'm not too sure what's the developer's name, is it Techland or something? They're the developers of Dying Light. So now, if you buy this laptop, you can claim Dying Light 2 for free in the Armoury Crate software, and that is because ASUS partnered with the developers to make use of that secondary display for that game specifically. However, there are also many other applets that you can use on this ScreenPad Plus. They are pretty much more or less the same like last year's ZenBook Duo, which your mileage may vary in terms of how often you're going to use all of those applets. But this secondary screen, I would suggest, actually more like my personal preference, is to use it as literally a secondary screen. So what I would do here is to drag all of my live stream monitoring window down there, my OBS, maybe my chat there as well, and also some sort of game guides if I ever need them. This is very useful for that. Of course, there's another main highlight here for this secondary screen's utilization is Overwolf. So within Overwolf, you can download quite a lot of other applets. For example, Dota 2 or League of Legends or maybe even CSGO stats logger kind of thing. So when you join in a ranked match, it will show you all of the stats of all of your opponents within the Overwolf overlay. So it might be useful if you can throw it to the second screen, right? But throughout my testing, what I experienced is that Overwolf applets are having quite an issue, especially with CSGO, because of VAC or Valve anti-cheat. So yeah, Valve doesn't allow you to hook any external applications to the game to collect data. And before I forget, this secondary display is operating at pretty much 4K resolution, which is 3840 by 1100. You can scale it down to 1080p. Of course, I would suggest you to do that if you're streaming as well, because this thing, if you don't really need that high of a resolution, might as well free up some resource for your GPU. Okay, so now let's talk about some design aspects of this laptop. It's made out of entirely magnesium alloy body metal here, so it's very solid, relatively thin and very lightweight for what it offers, all of the specs and whatnot. But of course, it's pretty wide in this dimension here, so your bag might not fit. But if you're buying this laptop, it of course comes with a backpack with it, so you don't have to worry about that. In terms of upgradability, I would say it's fairly simple. You just open all of the screws behind. There's also that auto pop-up thing at the top left corner or bottom right corner, whichever direction you want to look at it. Once you pop that open, the whole back panel just lifts up very easily. And this is where things get kind of disappointing. This super high-end laptop will only have one RAM slot that is user serviceable. The other 16 gigs is soldered onto the motherboard, and there's also 2 more NVMe SSD slots that is user serviceable, but I don't see a point since it's already in RAID 0 and they're using top-of-the-line NVMe SSD. And as for the ports, this laptop has quite a lot of them, I would say. So on the left side here, you have the DC input jack and then 2 separate ports for both your microphone and headphone jack. And on the right side here, you have a Thunderbolt 3 port and then double USB Type-A ports. And at the back here, you have a full-size Ethernet port, HDMI, alongside with another USB Type-A port. It's good enough, I would say, but the locations of all of the ports are something that I would nitpick on, because number one, the barrel jack should be moved to the back, and then secondly, move one of your Type-A ports to the left side, please, because if you want to plug in a mouse, it shouldn't be obstructing your mouse moving area. And so before we end this review, I just want to talk about the keyboard, which is okay. I would say travel distance isn't exactly that long, but it's good to type on, and the trackpad is also fairly decent. It's pretty much the same as last year as well, cramped up all the way at the right side, and it also has that number pad feature if you want to do data entry on your laptop. Yeah. And before I forget, this is absolutely the last point ever, is the brand new ScreenPad Plus. It tilts up. Ergonomically, it's good, but I would still suggest ASUS to make it user tiltable as much angle as we want it, and maybe also shrink down the bottom chin of that main display here so it kind of flush when you look at it. Okay, what I mean by this is if you look at this angle, then this display should lift up a bit more. This bottom chin should be slimmer, so it looks like the display is flowing towards you, if that makes sense. And one thing I have to commend ASUS is that you guys are really putting a lot of effort into making this design work, because you guys are kind of innovative here. You took the existing Zephyrus S series of hinge here, where the bottom flap opens up, and reversed it, put it into this laptop where the ScreenPad Plus lifts up instead. It's creative, and it solves quite a lot of issues that we have with the original ZenBook Duo from last year. So for 20,000 ringgit, I think this is the only laptop, actually yeah, it is the only laptop to offer you this kind of design. But if you want other unique designs at the same price range, we also have the Helios 700 by Predator, that one with a sliding keyboard there. It does have a slightly better GPU, non-max Q, and also supposedly more traditional design. If you don't need that gaming feature, just slide in the keyboard back and you're done. And then we also have the Acer Concept D9. The screen is rotatable, and then you can just put your palm there and start drawing. So that is also at the same price of this laptop, but of course it's meant for a completely different use case scenario. If you are an artist, I would suggest you to get that laptop. If you are a content creator, streamer and whatnot, this is looking compelling because this secondary display here is still unique but not perfect. So that's all we have to say about the Asus ROG Zephyrus Duo. So if you have any questions about this laptop in particular, do leave them down in the comment section below. We're trying to answer them whenever we can. And if you want to learn more about content creation with this laptop, click at the top right corner there. So we'll see you in the next video. Bye.